Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. I am King Kendra and today we're doing a full glam look, so make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the video. So you're going to start off with a blank canvas, and right now I'm just taking off a little bit of hair above my lip. No, I don't have a mustache. It's just that the less hair, the smoother the makeup application. And then you want to go in with a toner or a cleanser just to get rid of any oil or any dirt that may be on your face. And like I said, the cleaner the face, the better your makeup will look. And that's how you start to achieve your flawless base. And I cannot stress how important this is. And also, you want to know what else is important? Using a good moisturizer. I'm using my Snail Mucin moisturizer. It's one of my favorite moisturizers right now, and to make sure it's slimy, because if it's not slimy, it's fake. And this actually will determine how long your makeup will last. So you don't want to skip this step when it comes to your makeup application because it hydrates your skin. And please do not forget to moisturize under your eyes, because if you don't, you're just asking for your under eyes to crease after you put in your concealer, and we do not want that to happen. So after you moisturize under your eyes, you want to make sure that you're moisturizing again. And you know what? Actually, you don't have to use the Snail Mucin. I'd rather have you use the Embryolisse moisturizer because it's so good and it's inexpensive and it really plays a part in having your makeup come out flawless. And also the Embryolisse, it's not super expensive and it really works wonders, and it really plays a vital role based on how good your makeup will come out at the end. All right, primer time. So I'm using the OG e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. After moisturizing, primer is a must. You know, it gives your foundation something to stick to and you want it to be tacky. So I'm just really make sure that it's seeping into my skin. And this step is a game changer for long lasting makeup. So after that, I'm just using my MAC's Fix Plus setting spray. And this step, honestly, it just improves the quality of your makeup and it makes everything melt together once you start to put on your foundation. Trust me, I'm telling you, this trick makes so much of a difference. You can clearly see how my skin is just glowing and it's just ready for the foundation. So before I use my liquid foundation, I'm just going to go in with my Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm. And honestly, I feel like everything she makes is a hit. I have not purchased a product from her, which I was not happy with. Like, everything she does is a hit. And I'm just going to go in after that with my Dior foundation, the Forever Matte foundation. And it's a little bit more on the pricier side. It's $60, but I like it and it's really worth it because look how it just melts into my skin, and look how, like, I'm not even done with my makeup and it's already blending into my skin so well and so seamlessly. And with the Dior foundation, I bought a neutral shade, and this just goes to show that just because you're dark skinned, your undertone isn't always warm. You could be cool, you could be neutral, you know? So you just have to really understand and know your undertone. Now for the blush, I'm using Juvia's Place Liquid Blush, and I'm applying it higher up, closer to the brows. This is a trend right now, which I personally love because I just like how it makes the face look a little bit more lifted. Always tap in your makeup lightly. Do not stroke it. Do not be aggressive. Tap in your makeup very soft and subtly, okay? So just remember, you want to tap in the product. So this is my favorite part when it comes to my makeup application. I love highlighting and contouring my face. Right now, I'm just using my Too Faced concealer, and when you use your concealer, you want to take a darker shade concealer. Make sure that it's 2 shades lighter than your skin complexion. You don't want to get something that's too bright to the point where it doesn't blend well. So I'm just using a darker shade concealer on the outer corner of my eyes and on my nose and on my chin. And then I'm going to go in with a lighter concealer because I like a bright under eye. You know, bright is not for everybody, but if you like a bright under eye, then use a brighter concealer. I would say 3 shades lighter than you. And just apply it under your eyes. And then when you apply a concealer under your eyes, make sure that you're looking up so you could avoid creasing. So since I'm doing a full glam, full coverage look, I'm using a lot of product. Not to the point where it's cakey, but I'm using enough so you know that this is a full glam and a full beat, okay? So another tip I'll give you is that you want to let your concealer dry down before blending it because it helps give it more coverage, it creases less, and it lasts longer because the concealer has more time to dry instead of spreading it too thin if it was wet. So take your time when it comes to the concealer, and lately I've been just like switching up the way I blend in my concealer. Sometimes I'll use a beauty blender, sometimes I'll use a brush, sometimes I'll use a powder puff like how I'm using now, but it honestly just depends on like what's in my reach and what I feel like using in the moment. But honestly, I would use whatever you feel most comfortable with using when it comes to blending out your concealer, whether it's a brush, a beauty blender, or a powder puff. For beginners, I suggest using a beauty blender because that's the easiest way to go. So yeah, use a beauty blender first if you're starting out with your makeup, and as you get better, you could switch up your techniques. So for contouring, I'm going to take my Sephora contour stick. This is optional, but I like a little bit of sculpting when it comes to doing my makeup. So after I do that, I'm just going to lightly tap the product into my skin. Remember to always lightly tap the product in. So here is a key part when it comes to doing your makeup, and it's setting under your eyes. First, you want to get a loose powder and press it into your skin. Right now, I'm just using my Huda Beauty's loose powder. I'm going to press it into my skin before I go into baking. So before we get into baking, I'm going to take my House Labs blush in the shade Watermelon just to add some more color to the blush to make it pop a little bit more. And I really like this product because it's not too much, it's not too little, and it's just bright. And the more blush you want, of course, use it based on your own liking. And I'm just, adding how much I like to use. So now what you want to do is you want to go in with a loose powder, and we are going to bake under our eyes. So I'm just using Laura Mercier's translucent setting powder. This is one of my favorite setting powders right now. It's one of my go-tos, but sometimes I do use the One Size translucent setting powder too because I like that product as well. But today we're going to use Laura Mercier. So I'm gonna just use my Laura Mercier powder just to continue to sculpt my nose, and basically we're baking just to keep that bright effect under our eyes and just to have a seamless, flawless look. For eyes, you can use an eyeshadow primer, but today I'm using a light concealer as my base. I know some people say not to put eyeshadow on wet primer, but I found that it works fine if you just use it afterwards. And I'm using my Tarte Shape Tape concealer in a very light shade, as you can see. And honestly, I didn't really have a plan right here. I just started playing around with colors in my eyeshadow palette, and I went for a smoky look, as you will see, which is coming up. And then I just used a darker shade in the outer corner and a lighter shade in the inner corner, just for like a cute little look. This is something I normally don't do. I'm pretty basic when it comes to makeup. I like soft glams. Like, I'm a very simple girl, so you'll always catch me with like a brown or a neutral. But today's full glam, it wasn't too much and it wasn't too little, it was just right. So when it comes to brows, as of lately, I've been doing them last, and I just feel like it saves you time and product, and it looks more natural when you do it this way. So of course, I'm always going to outline my natural eyebrow shape. I don't want it to be too dark, so when I get to the top of my eyebrow right there, I'm going to make sure I use light strokes and not use the product too heavy in that area because we don't want it to be too dark. And so when you reach the tail of your eyebrow, make sure you're just filling it in with very light strokes. You don't want it to be too dark at the end because you want your eyebrows to look as natural as possible. Right here, I'm just taking my Anastasia gel pen, and I feel like the pen helps to make your eyebrows look a little bit more realistic because you're using stroke-like motions to draw imaginary hairs for your eyebrows. So I like this pen because it gives that effect of having real full eyebrows. And when it comes to your wing eyeliner, I'm just taking my e.l.f. liquid eyeliner. This eyeliner I don't really recommend for beginners because it's very liquidy and it's not the easiest to work with. You really have to have a steady hand. So now that we're done baking, you want to take a brush and just lightly brush off the powder. And before you put on your lashes, make sure you use a mascara for your natural lashes because you want the lash you put on to blend in with your regular eyelashes. And I'm literally all over the place in this tutorial because, yeah, I just am. I'm very chaotic sometimes. But after we do all that with our eyes, the last thing we're going to do is add a concealer underneath our brows. And you see I'm just slowly dragging the concealer that's 2 shades lighter than I am. And then I'm just going to lightly tap and blend out the product to make sure it just all blends in seamlessly. And you want to do the same thing on the other side. And make sure that your eyebrows are twins and not sisters. So they want to be identical. And for me personally, my eyebrows are particularly straight because I don't really have much eyebrows, so I just work with what I have. And lately I've been liking the straight eyebrow look. Now, if your eyebrows are not naturally straight or they don't look as straight as mine, it's okay. Follow your natural eyebrow shape. Now, granted, if you want to go with a straight look, do what I did. But other than that, if you have an arch, make sure that you're using the concealer and you're arching the concealer with your natural brow. Not everyone is going to have the same effect when it comes to an arch brow or a straight brow, okay? And when it comes to concealing your nose, you want to lightly use a contour stick like I did. I use my contour stick and I'm just using that on the brush and I'm applying it on my nose. And I don't like a harsh nose contour either. Like I like it to be there, but I don't want it to be like drag queen nose contour, you know? So I just lightly used my Sephora contour stick and applied it on my brush and I'm just dragging it up and down my nose for that contour effect. And remember when I said to use a mascara on your natural lashes? This is why, because when we put on the lash, we want the lash and your natural lash to blend in seamlessly because sometimes products can fall on your lash when you do your eyeshadow and you don't want that. So you just want everything to look seamlessly and all put together. And I use a tweezer to apply my lashes personally for me because it's easier that way. If you can master putting on lashes without concealer, hey, go ahead and do it. But I just personally like to use tweezers just to clamp it down and just to make sure that my lashes look good. And I heard that people don't use highlight anymore. Or not that they don't use highlighter, but it's not really a thing. But me personally, I've always used highlighter. Like if I don't use highlighter, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I stopped and I don't remember my highlighter. But I'm a highlighter girl. And ending with my lips, I'm using my MAC Chestnut pencil to overline my lips. And can you believe at one point I was thinking about getting lip fillers? Like, why would I ever want to get lip fillers? Like, my lips are already full, but at the time I'm just like, I want them to be a little bit more fuller. So I'm just using my MAC Chestnut just to outline my lips. And after that, I'm using my MAC lip gloss in the shade Candy Box. So to bring this look all together, I'm going to use my Danessa Myricks setting spray, and I really love the setting spray because it's mattifying and it just locks in my makeup. And here we go. We have a flawless glam. Let me know what you guys think, and remember to follow, like, and subscribe, and drop some comments in the comment section, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.